Hey, all right. What up? What up? What up? I think I'm gonna get straight to it for the most part. You know what I'm saying? It's the Royal Rant. Where you been? Where you been at? It's Royal G in the place to be, man. So I started this whole thing talking about a lot of things that were informative, very informative. This show is supposed to be informative in many ways, so we're gonna keep that going. The reason I haven't done so much in such a long time is because you gotta do research, and research takes time. I gotta go out there and I gotta learn things. I gotta hear things, put things together, talk to different people, hear what they're talking about, hear what they're thinking about, and then kind of learn, what I believe and what I think may or may not be factual and true in certain things. Weed out the craziness and whatnot, and then get it into a format that I feel is comfortable or that sounds okay when I say it. And then sometimes I go back on these videos and I'm like, and I learn something later and I'm like, damn, wish I would have said that. You right? So, so a lot of things I'm about to talk about, it's going to require some pre-knowledge. It's going to require some pre-knowledge from such things like people like Zechariah Sitchin and things like that, and some string theory ideas. And you're going to have to know some things about electromagnetism and weird things about that. And so, okay, I got a list of things here because I'm trying to figure out how I'm actually string all this together. This is crazy. I didn't put this much thought into it. I'm freestyling this right now. So this is going to come off like, whoa. Okay, so let's start with this. All right. So the sudden technology boom, right? Gotta think. Gotta think. All right. We went from having to stuff guns with gunpowder and no cars and pretty much navigating by chopping down trees and figuring out where to go type shit. Went from that for like being the thing for like hundreds of years to all of a sudden in the 1930s, 40s, or whatever, like when the whole Roswell incident happened, to all of a sudden, boom, we got cars, trains, planes, automobiles, cell phones, Bluetooth, internet, uh, all these things. So you got to kind of wonder, where did all that come from? And how did that just happen, right? Like, what was all of this just ideas? Now, this is where things get funny. If you do some library research, you will see things published and written back in the early 1800s, mid 1800s, of people writing ideas of what is now like the internet and Bluetooth and binary code, and writing things for what came to be what is now computer code and things like that, pre what we know as computers. Now, if you go do some research, look at like Sumerian, Mesopotamian tablets, look at some cuneiform things like that. There are carvings or stamps or whatever you want to call them, stones of people of high stature, looking like someone's holding what looks like it could be a laptop, and they're doing stuff on it, right? There's also things within the pyramids and different pyramids in Egypt that shows forms of transportation, no different from boats, yachts, helicopters, things like that we have today. There has been signs and things found of what we use today, similar in computers and things like that, found in these ancient places and whatnot. But their understanding of electromagnetism was a lot different. Because if you look at today and modern day technology, there are minerals that run most of our technology. Those minerals are fine stones, and one of those is gold. But also, there are many other ones. Can't name all of them off the top of my head right now. But there's a lot of fine minerals that actually conduct the electricity and things like that that go into our modern day technology. That possibly at an ancient time, not even possibly, I've come to the understanding that at a time before ours, these things were used. We just used a different look, right? No different than like when you go into a house and the kitchen from the 70s looks a certain way, but they were like, oh, that was so modern then. And then you go into a kitchen now and everything's all platinum and silver and all that shit. It's the same thing. Instead of us using the straight stone and tool and weird carving version, we decided to just make the whole damn thing out of silver and platinum and all that, right? Just using those as examples, not saying that's what the materials are. Just follow along. Thank you. So, in doing so, in saying these things, that these are the things and materials required for technology, and that it seems that on a human level, on a widespread human level, as far as exploration and explorers go, when they were going conquering from place to place, seemed as if they were more into harvesting like wood and animals and building materials, right? So then this Roswell thing crashes. I'm starting to hear some other things and put some other things together that makes more sense to me actually rather than a crash. We'll get into that in just a second. So, with that being said, makes me wonder, right? So, where did this technology boom come from all of a sudden? And the way that technology is rolling itself out these days, you would think that some of this stuff was already pre made and we're just getting small prototype like versions of what is actually a bigger idea or a bigger use of what we are using as consumers. Now, I mentioned Roswell. Now, imagine this. Imagine what if Roswell wasn't a crash. Imagine if it was more so of a digging discovery. Have you ever wondered and thought to yourself, like, hey, why is Area 51 underground, not on top of ground? Have you ever wondered, hey, why is there that whole like city and everything built under that Colorado airport and stuff like that? Why are there like literally cities and things built in the mountains, some spoken of, some unspoken of, but people literally live within mountains, and then also those mountain places may travel underground. Now, the question and the answer: what if extraterrestrials were never, well, there could be extraterrestrials, but what if there were such thing as interterrestrials or subterrestrials? No different than you dig in the dirt and you find a bug that you've never seen before. What if you dig far enough and you find people or something you've never seen before? Just a thought. Also, underwater caves and underwater caverns. There are ways to swim down to places far enough that there actually is dry places you can walk, light fires, stand up, take off scuba gear, and walk around, but you're hundreds of feet underwater. Just another idea. I'm not going to go super deep because I'm limited by time of this recording thing, it bothers the hell out of me, right? So, I'm just giving you guys some things so you can just go out there and go, you know what? Let me go look up what he's talking about. Let me go find out some information. Let me go look up some things. So, all right. Also, we live in a world and we live in a frequency based existence. So everything is a frequency vibration. It's a wavelength. Everything has a tune, tone, and a frequency to it. That is where cymatics comes into play. Sounds create shapes. Sounds create the world. Sounds are vibrations. Vibrations and fluttering and all these things create wind. Wind creates change. Change creates waves. Waves create erosion. Boom, boom. Sound is the basis of everything. There you go. So, sound, with what it is and wavelengths being what they are, create magnetism and electromagnetism. And so that is positive and negative polarity. Polarity being what creates magnets and all that type of stuff, right? So you put north and north together, you get repel. You put north and south, you get bloom. You put south and south, you get repel, right? Now, there's also other forms of magnetism, such as diamagnetism, paramagnetism, and ferromagnetism. Diamagnetism is another form of magnetism, basically where you can create levitation through sort of the cancellation of north-north, right? So if you can do something north-north and then suspend it in between, basically you get this levitation-like effect. You can look it up online, see different people doing videos of it on YouTube, and you can see, okay, maybe that's how some things may have gotten moved around back in the days, where they're like, how the hell did this get like this? Also, now, with some of the remaining time I have left with this thing, let's get into dimensional travel. I have personally experienced, I have personally experienced on a DMT trip, my very first, what I come to believe was an intersection of time, because through studies of time, time apparently is possibly all the way just linear in a way that past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, but because everything is vibrating and doing certain things. Basically, all right, there were studies done that something in motion is moving at a different time rate than something that's not in motion or something that's moving slower, right? So the faster something moves, the slower time starts to drift at a further time rate away from the object that might be sitting still type thing. So in a weird sense, all times exist. And the future exists as well. So during the DMT trip, had this thing where I kind of crossed over with someone in Egypt and basically saw like an entire kind of like ritual type thing going on where they might have been trying to transcend or open a dimensional gate. Boom, boom. Therefore, the guy, I think, whoever I was switching places with, was seeing the future, what would be the future to him. And so seeing whatever was going on in the room at the time that I was doing what I was doing. And then I was seeing what was going on in the past of what was happening to him, being all wrapped up, doing the thing, doing all that. Right. So, do some research, find out that basically ancient societies had these rituals and ways of opening dimensional gates, and that's where you get certain symbolism, like little weird Celtic symbols, little weird things in like Sumerian tablets that look like gateways and whatnot. They look like doorways with little weird roses type thing on them, but really they're representing electromagnetism and polarity and showing you that they had control of electromagnetism and polarity to be able to bend time and space and do these things and then travel. So now we're in a present day where information is being misconstrued and given to people in a way to make you think that the people and the figures and whatnot that created all of these things and a whole bunch of other things, I'll have to create another video to go extra deep into all of that. And that means I'm going to be going into like Anunnaki stuff and talking about Enki and melanin and talking about a whole bunch of stuff and where all that comes from, and Garden of Eden origin and Luciferian stuff and all that, and how that all actually really came to be, that possibly these may be alien scientists, not so much more so of these biblical angels and whatnot that people depict them as, but it could have been just kind of like a, you can also look at it like it was a corporate scientist battle, like, hey, do humans have rights or not? Kind of like how we look at animals. So that's a whole nother thing I'm gonna have to get into. I have so much information I want to go over and get into this thing, but I'm just literally looking at this time limitation ticking away, and it's just sad. Oh, it's just sad because time is completely relative. Notice the time within my phone in this recording is completely relative and almost irrelative to the fact of what my time is and my existence and what it is that I'm going to go out and do. You're only seeing a short segment of what's going to take place in the life of Royal G. This is just a blip in what the universe sees as time, or it never saw as time. Then I want to go into a whole thing about natural resources and what they may actually be in the earth and why they are natural resources and why they replenish and why things might not be fossil fuels as they say that they are. And then, you know what? Matter of fact, let me just use the time to just go into something real quick. All right, let's just think about something. How many motherfucking dinosaurs you really think walked on this earth and really walked around and died all over the place and died like in specific places for there to be like oil like that, like that? Could it really be, because, you know, life, the earth is a living organism. It's a planet. You take the E out of planet. It's a plant. Most plants and water, all that grows here. It's come here naturally. It has a cell, a nucleus, and all that. No different than how we have within our body, and we have blood, right? So what if, like, you know, spit is like earth's saliva and whatnot, water that's like earth spit, water, saliva, whatever, but you're digging in deep enough, and then the blood, oil. So you keep harvesting this fucking the natural shit out of thing, because I'm pretty sure there was oil in this shit before there was dinosaurs, if dinosaurs really were around and that was really a thing. And I mean, okay, I'm not saying that they weren't. I'm not saying that they weren't. They've constructed enough bone things, put together stuff in museums to make it say, all right, yeah. But what if, you know, could be possible we're putting together shit incorrectly? Who fucking knows? I don't know. I'm just saying this. Let's look at the earth as if it's a person or it's alive, it's a thing. Like, we're kind of like head lice on this fucking thing and we're fucking around with it. Also, going back into the people underground, the whole thing with underground people in mountains and all that shit. Basically, you got to think about it. Back in the days, if you want to look at your Bible, your basic instructions before leaving Earth, if you want to look at your biblical stuff and all your things and all the old texts of how they used to talk about how people used to live for hundreds and hundreds of years, well, the difference was they weren't eating genetically modified foods, and there's also wasn't hundreds and hundreds of different pollutants and gases in the air, making the air toxic, which causes aging. So therefore, now in this time and age, we would have to give the planet like time to reset itself and stop fucking with shit. So some people, there are people who probably, and I know that they do, live underground, and it slows the aging process. Just saying. Oh, also you can do that inside the pyramids and things like that too, because of the way that they're built and all this other stuff. Also, you also should know that the Egyptians had different understandings of different dimensions and everything like that, because that's why in an illusion the pyramids actually look like it's three, or it looks like it's only a certain amount of sides, but there's actually an extra side to it or whatever when you go see it in person. And there's something about the way the lights hit and all that. I'm speaking really fast and just giving you stuff that you'll have to go backtrack and go look up on your own and just go find out for yourself. But thank you for tuning into the Royal Rant, enjoying some things, hearing some good information. You know, try to go out there and apply these things. Understand the symbolism within your face. Literally, this thing, even over my shoulder, is a little bit of symbolic and some symbolism stuff going on. Everything is symbolism, colors, things, and everything. You get what I'm saying? I got a friend that had a pair of pants on. He had some sweatpants on that had fucking cuneiform writing on it. He didn't even know it. I was like, dude, you know that's the first language like ever written, and it's on your pants. And he's like, nah. It's like, well, now you know. So have a good one, y'all.